In recent celebrity news, the spotlight has been cast on a tumultuous relationship that has unfolded between Toni Braxton and Birdman, a saga that reads like a potent mix of romance and financial intrigue. At the center of this unfolding drama is the claim about a staggering $160 million divorce settlement that Toni reportedly sought after a mere 2 days of marriage with Birdman. This whirlwind narrative is charged with intriguing elements and competing narratives that merit a closer exploration to understand its complexities to begin with. It's important to consider the history between these two high-profile personalities. Rumors and speculation about their relationship dynamics have long circulated, pointing towards a partnership riddled with financial tensions and misunderstandings. Birdman, known for his substantial wealth and presence in the music industry, is portrayed as feeling duped by Toni's actions, especially given her past financial struggles and extravagant lifestyle. Toni Braxton, on the other hand, is no stranger to financial turmoils, having filed for bankruptcy twice in the past. This backdrop of her financial history adds an additional layer to the situation, fueling speculations about her intentions. As we delve deeper into the narrative, Birdman's allegations against Toni paint a picture of betrayal. According to him, after their official split in 2019, she returned in 2023, suggesting a reconciliation. Birdman claims these overtures seemed sincere at first, leading them back into a relationship that culminated in marriage on August 8, 2024. However, just 2 days later, Toni's abrupt decision to file for divorce took the spotlight, with her seeking a jaw-dropping settlement based on their short-lived union. This abrupt turn of events raises a key question. Was Toni's purported return to Birdman motivated by financial gain? From Birdman's perspective, the evidence seems compelling, especially given the suspicious timing and Toni's subsequent demands. Supporters of Birdman's narrative have labeled Toni as a gold digger, emphasizing the incongruity between the duration of their marriage and the hefty financial request. Conversely, supporters of Toni Braxton argue that this portrayal might oversimplify or unfairly vilify her actions. They suggest that the complexity of her life and past relationships warrants a more nuanced interpretation rather than a straightforward characterization of her as manipulative or calculating. Moreover, her artistic career and personal struggles could provide context for understanding her actions beyond the surface level of a financial transaction. As this story attracts widespread attention, it prompts a broader reflection on the nature of high-profile relationships, media influence, and public perception of female celebrities, particularly those with past financial issues. Birdman's claims may or may not hold water in the court of public opinion, yet they resonate with a segment of his audience familiar with such tales of fame and fortune gone awry. Several unanswered questions remain in this ongoing narrative. What truly transpired within those brief days of marriage? Is this an unfortunate culmination of misunderstandings and clashing expectations, or is there more to the financial motives than meets the eye? Why have past controversies of a similar nature stuck to Toni Braxton's public image, and how does this impact her current situation? In conclusion, this unfolding story taps into broader themes of trust, ambition, and the volatile intersection of love and money. While Birdman and Toni Braxton saga could be easily dismissed as another celebrity spectacle, it also serves as a lens through which we can examine the intricacies of human relationships enmeshed in financial power struggles. Whether it's a narrative of victimization or a scheme of financial orchestration, the full truth may remain obscured, yet this exploration serves to illuminate the manifold dimensions of this fascinating tale. Toni allegedly tried to do more than just strike him in the pockets in court. When she was unable to obtain his money directly, she allegedly went one step further and attempted to sell off some of his jewelry. Even though the entire situation is chaotic, nobody should be surprised because, to be honest, Toni has never had the best financial record. She was one of the most well-known and lucrative celebrities of the 1990s. Nevertheless, she lost everything twice in a row. However, she initially filed for bankruptcy in 1998. It was also a huge scandal. It was unthinkable for someone who had sold millions of records to suddenly go bankrupt. And it didn't end there, since the headlines were harsh and the financial instability persisted in 1999. She even went on Oprah once to make things right, but it didn't work out since Oprah questioned her spending patterns and pointed out the careless choices that first led to her debt. Instead of taking responsibility for it, Toni blasted Oprah on national television, calling her cruel and making herself the victim. "She was so incredibly cruel to me, Braxton. I was stunned. Do you accept accountability for your current circumstances?" 100%, 100%, 100%. I loved her so deeply that I couldn't believe it. She essentially chastised me because I looked up to her and admired her. "Oh, what do you mean by that?" "And she made me feel this large right away." This is large. My career was totally altered by that incident. People looked down on me because of that. After his initial bankruptcy, Toni was able to recover. And it appeared for a little moment that she was at last back on firm ground. However, the peace was short-lived. She ultimately filed for bankruptcy once more in 2010. It was considerably worse this time. Toni reportedly asserted that her debts ranged from $10 million to $50 million. And it's more than just money problems. That is a complete breakdown. She attributed the fall to the cancellation of her residency in Las Vegas, which took place after she received a catastrophic heart ailment diagnosis. However, that wasn't the only issue. Significant problems with insurance, continuous disagreements about coverage, and a lengthy backlog of unpaid taxes were all present. Toni has been silently fighting to survive ever since. The figures also don't lie. Simply put, the music isn't moving as it once did. Additionally, her most recent album barely sold 7,000 copies and landed at number 163 on the Billboard 200. The previous one only produced about 16,000 copies. Those figures are a serious warning sign for an artist who used to top the charts. Due to declining record sales, the Braxton Family Values reality show became her primary source of revenue. However, even that attention has begun to wane. Fans are beginning to question whether her relationship with Birdman was truly about love or survival now that the show's popularity has tapered down in recent years and she hasn't had consistent media attention or hit songs at the top of the charts. Rumors were already circulating that Toni was just a few inches away from declaring bankruptcy once more. After more than 4 years of being separated, she suddenly started dating again. People were giving the timing a lot of side-eye. Furthermore, it appeared that she was attempting to get a piece of that gate of boots with the pimped-out cheese rather than actually Birdman the man, because let's be honest for a moment. When they unexpectedly reconciled in 2023, no one understood why. Toni had insisted for years that they were never to be seen again, even claiming that there was no possibility of a reconciliation. Who do you suppose I am? He was my man, don't you realize that? Fans, therefore, realized right away that something was wrong when she completely changed her ways and began to snuggle up to him once more. People are now beginning to believe that the entire situation was a sham and a financial ploy from the beginning when Birdman called her out and revealed all the personal information. Fans were already expressing concern about the strange tension between Toni and Birdman before the most recent scandal had reached the public, particularly in light of her extremely awkward 2022 interview on Taylor Hall. It was meant to be this honest, emotional moment when Toni was on the talk show discussing her lupus diagnosis, but the instant Tamron brought up Birdman, everything changed. You could sense the change in the atmosphere as Toni became rigid and avoided making eye contact. It was evident that there was something amiss behind the scenes.
Back.
Yeah. I think it's when I was first diagnosed with having lupus, I was so down, I was so depressed, and the doctors told me I would never be able to work again, your music career is over, but the man upstairs had a whole other plan for me.
Yeah.
But at the time...
You see, following the Toni and Byrne story has never been simple. Since way back in 2016, they have been intermittently active. Furthermore, most people didn't understand the relationship, even when they were together. Now, do you recall when Birdman proposed in 2018? He delivered the enormous ring of yellow diamonds worth $5 million. Everyone was talking about it because it was ostentatious and extravagant. After what appeared to be a fairy tale moment, there was radio silence. There will be no wedding or significant updates, just rumors and an odd vibe. The engagement felt less like a genuine relationship and more like a headline.
You're engaged.
I'm engaged.
She did good, right?
Well, right? Very well. She did good. But there's no date.
However, Toni continued to blame timing as the wedding continued to be postponed, delayed, and moved further down the timeline. Fans, however, didn't buy it. The largest red flag of all appeared next. It said that Toni misplaced the $5 million ring. $5 million for a ring of engagement. And she stated that she unintentionally left it on a plane. The ring was gone, but the bag it was in was given back. Simply disappeared. For example, how could someone lose a diamond ring of that type? Now, if she reportedly pawned it off to pay off her obligations, the rumors are that Toni didn't lose that ring. It wouldn't be all that startling, to be honest. Her financial history hasn't exactly been fantastic, and rumors have it that she's in dire need of money. Thus, she took the action that anyone in her situation would take. Sold the $5 million engagement ring, which was her most valuable possession at the time. Birdman first didn't give it much thought. He honestly thought that she had misplaced it, and he even pretended that it didn't happen in an interview. However, if these rumors are accurate, the no biggie mentality most likely vanished immediately. Everything didn't start to fall apart until Birdman finally learned the truth. As it happens, the ring was found. And the trust vanished when he discovered that she had reportedly sold it behind his back. A piece of jewelry. It's gone, honey, that $5 million engagement ring from Birdman. Toni Braxton is attempting to get her engagement ring. Regarding one of the inquiries I am aware that they attempted to repair the situation, but the harm had already been done. Shortly after the engagement ended, the entire relationship fell apart. Years later, Toni is still participating in the same money games. Additionally, Birdman isn't playing along this time. It appears from the outside that he may have finally reached the apex of the pattern and is not going to allow history to repeat itself. Therefore, it won't appear particularly unusual if you connect all the dots, from the missing $5 million ring to the consecutive bankruptcies to that outrageous $160 million divorce demand after only 2 days of marriage. Birdman may have initially been blinded by love, but it's obvious that he's now describing it exactly as he sees it and that he won't stop. However, Toni didn't just fumble the bag with Birdman, if the most recent rumors are accurate. It's possible that she was pursuing it the entire time. The dilemma is, however, how much to produce this go now that the truth is coming to light. Is Birdman merely resentful? Or is he simply going to be a man and reveal the side of Toni that has been concealed all along? In any case, there are two things that are certain. This complicated story is far from over.